A very good evening to you and welcome to Idea TV News at 9. I am Cynthia Basi. Now we begin with the headlines. Gombe State partners New Zealand firm to modernize cattle breeding. Mozambique launches platform to report personal data breaches. Ivory Coast moves to regulate digital content monetization by 2026. And President TINUBU launches $540 million Women Empowerment Program. Somalia approves new framework to strengthen public data protection. And away from Africa, ECB expands euro liquidity to boost global influence. And in health, ANAMBRA First Lady calls for end to female genital mutilation. And in business, ICAN advocates economic revitalization and youth engagement. In sport, Barcelona draw LOOKMAN'S ATLETICO Madrid in COPA del Rey semi-final. And other news in full, Gombe State has signed a partnership with New Zealand's Livestock Improvement Corporation to modernize cattle farming and boost dairy production. The agreement was signed on Tuesday following a two-day visit by a state delegation to New Zealand. The partnership will introduce modern herd management systems, strengthen livestock genetics, and promote sustainable and climate-smart farming alongside training programs and joint research. The move supports Nigeria's wider plan to double national milk production by 2030 as authorities seek investment and global expertise to transform the livestock sector. Moving on, Mozambique has launched a new digital platform for reporting personal data breaches in a move aimed at strengthening privacy protection and boosting trust in the use of information and communication technologies. The platform was introduced by the National Institute of Information and Communication Technologies, known as INTIC, as part of broader efforts to reinforce the country's personal data protection framework. Officials say the system allows citizens to submit complaints in a simple, secure, and accessible way, with a clear process for handling reports from submission and analysis to investigation and final decision-making. The initiative was unveiled during a digital literacy webinar that brought together stakeholders from government, the private sector, and civil society. Authorities say the platform will improve transparency, strengthen accountability among organizations handling personal data, and reinforce Mozambique's commitment to the responsible and ethical use of digital technologies. Still in Africa, Ivory Coast has begun plans to regulate and organize digital content monetization, with the government aiming to introduce a full framework by 2026. Talks opened on Monday, the 2nd of February, bringing together regulators and industry partners. Officials say the initiative will create revenue-sharing rules to ensure global streaming platforms properly compensate local artists and creators while strengthening copyright protections and contract standards. The move comes as music streaming continues to grow rapidly across Africa, with authorities hoping the reform will boost incomes for creatives and position the digital culture sector as a driver of jobs and economic growth. Our President Bola Tinubu has launched the Nigeria for Women program Scale Up, a $540 million initiative aimed at empowering women and strengthening social development. The program was unveiled today in Abuja and is co-financed by the World Bank and government partners. The project is to target 5 million women across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, with a broader goal of reaching 25 million Nigerians. The president described the program as a strategic investment in economic growth, declaring 2026 the year of families and social development. Authorities say the new phase will expand financial inclusion, job opportunities, and access to skills and markets as the government positions women at the center of national development and inclusive growth. In another news, Somalia has approved a new regulatory framework aimed at strengthening the protection of public data and advancing the country's digital transformation. The decision was reached during an extraordinary meeting of the Council of Ministers chaired by President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud and attended by Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Bare. Meanwhile, the regulation is to provide key provisions needed to implement Somalia's public data protection law and establish a stronger legal system for safeguarding citizens' data and improving transparency in data-related services. The Ministry of Communications and Technology, which drafted the framework, confirmed that it passed all required constitutional, legal, and technical procedures before approval. The government says the move will enhance information security, boost public trust in digital services, and support ongoing efforts to modernize public services across the country. We're now going on a quick break. The news continues when we are back.
Machine customers. Machine customers are AI systems that can make autonomous purchasing decisions on behalf of businesses or individuals. These systems analyze data, predict needs, and place orders without human intervention. For example, AI-powered chatbots can reorder supplies for a company when stock runs low. While this trend improves efficiency, it raises concerns about control and accountability over automated processes. As companies explore this concept further, B2B and B2C transactions will increasingly rely on machine customers.
Good to have you back. If you're just joining, this is Idea TV News at 9. Now, the rest of the stories. Away from Africa, the European Central Bank is making it easier for foreign central banks to access emergency funding in euros, a move seen as part of the European Union's wider strategy to strengthen trade and political ties. The project announced yesterday aims to encourage the use of euro outside the eurozone and reinforce confidence in the single currency during periods of market stress. The plan expands the ECB's existing repurchase agreement, or EUREP, which allows central banks to borrow euros against collateral. Under the new terms, interest rates would be lowered, borrowing limits eased, and rules standardized, enabling more countries to participate beyond the current 8 eligible nations. Economists and bank executives say the move complements Europe's international trade deals, including recent agreements with India, and positions the euro as a more attractive alternative to the US dollar. Administrators describe the initiative as a tool for economic diplomacy, supporting growth while boosting the EU's influence on the global financial stage. Now in health news, the wife of the Anambra State Governor, Dr. Nonye Soludo, has called for an end to female genital mutilation, describing the practice as a violation of the rights and dignity of girls and women. She made the appeal today in a statement marking the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. Dr. Soludo urged stronger advocacy and empowerment for girls and women to lead the fight against the practice, stressing that it causes long-term physical and psychological harm. She said education must play a central role in ending the practice. The United Nations says more than 230 million girls and women worldwide have undergone female genital mutilation, warning that millions more remain at risk unless action is accelerated. Now in business news, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria has pledged renewed support for the country's economic revitalization, highlighting policy advisory, youth engagement, and sustainable development initiatives. The announcement was made on Thursday by ICAN President Malam Haruna Yahaya at the Institute's 20th Western Zonal Conference in Lagos. The conference themed revitalizing the Nigerian economy for sustainable development, accelerating new frontiers, brought together stakeholders to discuss strategies for inclusive growth. Yahaya said ICAN is focusing on engaging young professionals and providing practical recommendations for government policies to strengthen the economy. Speakers, including the Special Advisor to the President on Finance and Economy, Mrs. Sayande Yokoli, stressed the importance of economic diversification, infrastructure development, and leveraging local innovations. They noted that collaboration between public and private sectors is key to ensuring sustainable and equitable growth across Nigeria. Finally, in sport news, Barcelona will face Ademola Lookman's Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey semi-finals after Friday's draw at the Royal Spanish Football Federation headquarters in Las Rozas. The tie reunites last season's semi-finalists, with Barcelona having beaten Atletico 5-4 on aggregate. Atletico arrived in strong form following a 5-0 quarter-final demolition of Real Betis, boosted by the recent signing of Lookman, though Pablo Barrios may miss the first leg. Barcelona, meanwhile, progressed past Albacete 2-1, but will be without Pedri for the semi-final clash. The semi-finals are played over 2 legs. Atletico will host Barcelona at the Metropolitano on February 10th to 11th, with the return leg scheduled for March 4th and 5th. The other semi-final sees Athletic Club take a Real Sociedad in all Basque derby. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV News at 9. But before we go, here is a recap of the headlines. We brought you news that Gombe State partners New Zealand FEB to modernize cattle breeding. Mozambique launches platform to report personal data breach. Ivory Coast moves to regulate digital content monetization by 2026. And President TINUBU launches $540 million women empowerment program. Somalia approves new framework. And away from Africa, ECB expands euro liquidity to boost global influence. In health, ANAMBRA First Lady calls for end to female genital mutilation. And in business, ICAN advocates economic revitalization and youth engagement. And finally, in sports, Barcelona draw Lookman's Atletico Madrid in Copa del Rey semi-final. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Cynthia Basi. Thank you for your time.